guys, SquidLord here, and today I am back at you with another Yu-Gi-Oh! Deck profile. Alright, so this is the long-awaited FLundereeze Deck Profile, or the new FLundereeze, which I don't like that TCG translation. I'm just going to call it FLundereeze this entire video because fuck pronouncing it the other way. I'm sorry. But this is my deck profile that I use to play online quite a bit, and I'm looking forward to building once, Burst of Destiny comes out. So, without further ado, the deck profile. So, first we're going to run one Snow Owl. Snow Owl, I feel like, is an optional big bird that you can use. He's level 10, 2900 attack, 800 defense. He's a water wing beast type. He says, once per turn, if you control this tribute summon card, you can activate this effect and allow you to conduct 3 normal summons or sets this turn, not just the normal one. So it allows you to summon out 3 monsters. And while you control this tribute summon card, if any of your monsters attack an opponent's monsters that's in defense, it inflicts piercing battle damage, which is just damage that rolls over. And then after that, he's got a once per turn during your opponent's turn, you can banish a card from your hand and flip all your opponent's special summon monsters face down. So he's got a Book of Moon effect for all your opponent's special summon monsters. Neat. Not really necessary, but it does set up for his effect to inflict piercing via all your monsters. So that's neat. One of your big birds that you're going to be constantly seeing in your first turn on your board is FLundereeze Impermanence. Impermanence is like one of your best big monsters to summon out. Impermanence is a he's 2700 attack, level 10, and he says if this card is tribute summoned, you can add 1 FLundereeze spell or trap from your deck to your hand. This is how you search out your counter trap or any other extenders if you need them. Also, after that resolves, then you can normal summon 1 monster. Doesn't matter what monster, you can just normal summon it. And then while this tribute summon card is in the main monster zone, your opponent cannot activate monsters that are special summoned in attack mode. So it just completely prevents anything that's in attack mode from activating its effect that was special summoned, which is really nice because it just sort of skill drains a lot of things. Then he's got a once per battle. During damage calculation, if this card battles, you can, quick effect, banish 1 card from your hand, have the opponent's monsters attack and defense. So you can do this unlimited times, but it only once each while it's fighting or while it's battling. So pretty neat, pretty nifty, and it is a really dangerous thing to do because it gets around a lot of things that are like, oh, I'm 5k 4k, and he's just like, I'll just have it. But yes, Impen is, I would like to say, best big card in the deck. Then I'm running 2 Impens, by the way. I'm running 1 Mist Valley Apex Avian. This guy is just another big bird that you can summon out, and he's also a negate. Once per chain, you can, when a card or effect is activated, you can, quick effect, target Apex Avian. You return him to your hand, and then you negate the activation of whatever it is and destroy it. And then next you have Dark Smorg, because why don't you want your opponent to not set cards? You can't use his effect while it's like, oh, you can banish a dark or a wind type monster from your graveyard to special summon him from your hand or whatever. But you mainly summon him out because, hey, your opponent cannot set any cards on the field, which is really fucking stupid effect that should not have been printed. Next, I'm running 2 Dimension Shifter because you don't really need your graveyard, and having your graveyard really hinders you because you need everything and you're banished. And this is just such a broken card for to go against most decks that you're just like, oh, Dimension Shifter. Oh, You can't use your graveyard. Oh no, I don't need my graveyard. Next is Ash Blossom. I'm using Ash Blossom right now because the whole fact of the matter is Ash Blossom's a discard effect. So it's basically immune to the whole Dimension Shifter where it doesn't need to be sent to the graveyard. So that's about the only reason why I'm running Ash Blossom as like one of my main hand trap monsters. Next I'm running 2 Eaglin. I figured running 2 instead of 3 because I kept running into the ordeal where I just kept opening up like 2 Eaglin in the same hand and no Robinas. So I was just like, this is fine. But Eaglin basically says if this card is face up on the field and it leaves the field, banish it. So if it goes anywhere else, it's banished. And what is it? It's got all of its effects are hard ones per turns. So this is going to be the same. The whole banish face up and everything. It's going to be the same for all of them. All their little FLundereeze monsters effects are all going to be hard ones per turns. But this guy's got a different effect. Each of them have a different, like, you do this and then you can normal summon again effect. So this dude's effect is once per turn. You cannot special summon the turn you activate either of these effects. If this card is normal summoned, add 1 level 7 or higher winged beast monster from your deck to your hand, which is basically any of your big birds. And then if you do, immediately normal summon 1 winged beast monster. So this is how this deck really starts rocking and rolling, because you just start summoning. But it says, if a winged beast monster is normal summoned to your field, this card, and this card is banished, you can add this card to your hand. So this is how you would chain block some of your searches and everything, is you would normal summon out like Robina, you'd have like a banished FLundereeze monster, trigger Robina, trigger, you know, your banished dude, chain block completely. So your opponent can't respond to it. Unless they have like Imperm, but they can't respond to it via Ash Blossom, you know. Next is Stritch. Stritch's effect is a once per turn. You can banish 1 card from either player's graveyard. And if you do, then you get to normal summon out a winged beast monster. So this Stritch really helps when trying to hit like problem cards in your opponent's graveyard or trying to clear out cards in your graveyard so you can activate Dimension Shifter. Then 3 Robina, because this is the most busted card. You open up Robina, you got the whole combo. You got a whole full board. So Robina says, if this card's normal summoned, you can add a level 4 lower winged beast monster from your deck to your hand and then normal summon. So you go Robina, Eaglin, Impin. And that's just only off of 1 card. You still have like 4 other cards in your hand at this point, if you're going first. I'm running 2 Toucan because I figure he's a lot better to have in certain situations rather than running like multiple Stritch. Toucan says whenever he's summoned, you can add to hand one of your banished FLundereeze cards to your hand and then normal summon again. So this is how you can recycle your counter trap and any of your other banished FLundereeze cards, which is really nice. Next we have Wing Requital. It is a spell that says if you control 2 or more monsters with different original names and no non-winged beast monsters, so if you control 2 winged beast monsters with different names, you can pay 600 life points, draw 2 cards. So it's just free draw, basically. Then I'm running 1 Harpy's Feather Duster. You could drop it to switch it for something else. I'm just running it because you never know where you need back row hate, and it's searchable in the deck, and recursion in the deck, so might as well. I'm also running 2 Potted Dualities. I would run 3 of each of like these draw stuff, but I figured running 3 is way too cloggy because you can open up 2 in your hand and be like, well, I want more like bird resources instead of, duplicates. I'm running 2 Forbidden Droplet in the deck right now, which Forbidden Droplet is just really good staple in most decks. It says send any other face-up cards from your hand and or field to the graveyard, and then choose that many effect monsters on your opponent controls, and till the end of the turn their attack is halved, and if their attack is halved, then their effects are negated. Your opponent cannot activate card or effects of the same original type that you used to pay for the cost. So if you sent like monsters, your opponent can't respond with monster effects. If you sent spells or traps, your opponent can't activate those in response either. And it's a hard once per turn. Next, 2 Nobleman Crossout Designator, because Crossout Designator is just nice. You declare a card name, you banish 1 card of that declared name from your main deck, and if you do, negate its effects, activated effects, and the effects of those cards on the board of the same name until the end of the turn, which is like nice to get around certain decks. So say, oh hey, this dude's gonna ash me, or this dude's ashing me right now, and I don't have, Call by the Grave. I'll just cross out Designator Ash from my main deck and not have to worry about it. I'm running a tech that you may or may not like. It's called Quiet Life. I'm running 2 of it. It's a continuous spell that says activate this at the start of your main phase, so it's got to be the very first thing you do. And it says if you control no monsters, if any player normal summon or sets a monster, that player cannot special summon monsters that turn. And if a player special summons monsters, that player cannot normal summon or set this turn. So essentially what it ends up doing is it forces you into either normal summoning or special summoning for that turn, which is really nice. I'm running 2 FLundereeze and the Unknown Wind. This is a situational card because it's good temporary removal for the board, but it's also really good to fix up your hand. So its first effect is you can conduct tribute summons that require 2 tributes by sending 1 monster you control and 1 card your opponent controls to the graveyard instead of tributing. It's still considered a tribute summon, so this is good. You can get rid of any card your opponent controls. They both have to hit the graveyard. Keyword, hit the graveyard. Because this prevents you from using your little birds while they're face up on the field. So if they're face down, you're fine. But if they're face up on the field, you're kind of screwed because you can't use this for that. But you could use your other big birds to summon other things, but that's just like, do you want to really waste that? Its second effect is, during your main phase, you can reveal up to 2 winged beast monsters in your hand, place them at the bottom of the deck in any order, and then draw that number. And so it basically fixes your hand if you've got a really bricked hand. Then I'm running 1 Dimension Fissure because why not? I'm also running 2 FLundereeze in the Mysterious Map. This is a really good starter card or extender card. So it says during your main phase you can reveal 1 level 1 FLundereeze monster from your hand. If you do, banish 1 FLundereeze card with a different name from your main deck. And then you can immediately summon, you can normal summon after the fact. But it has to be the revealed monster. Then, if your opponent normal summons a monster, you can immediately after this effect resolves, normal summon a FLundereeze monster. So it allows you to normal summon during your opponent's turn if they normal summon, which you can forcibly make your opponent normal summon with this deck, so that's really neat. Now, running 2 Infinite Impermanence because why not? I'm still a little iffy on whether or not I want to run this, so I could drop it. It's a droppable card, but it's FLundereeze in the City of Dreams. It's a normal trap card, and it says during the main phase, you can immediately, after this card resolves, normal summon a level 4 lower FLundereeze monster. Now, that's really neat because that allows you to just go through your whole normal summon chain. But it's also a hindrance because it's a trap. But it also has another effect that says if you tribute summon a level 7 or higher monster, which is any of your big birds, and while this card's in your graveyard, you can banish this card, change all your opponent's monsters to face down defense position. You do get a Book of Moon out of it if it's in your graveyard, but that's like throwing it in your graveyard. I mean, you could run like Foolish Goods, I think is the card that sends Speller Trap from the deck to the graveyard to do this, but And then I'm running 3 of the most broken trap card in this deck. Harpy's Feather Storm. Harpy's Feather Storm says if you control a wing beast monster, which is half of your like FLundereeze lineup, until the end of the turn, negate any monster effect your opponent activates. Any monster effect. It just stops everything. This is a lingering effect, so as soon as this is activated, they can't stop anything about it. Or they can negate the activation and everything, but as soon as this resolves, they're fucked for effects. And if you control Harpy monster, you can activate it from your hand, but there's no real like a reason to throw in a Harpy monster in order to activate it from hand, unless you just really wanted to. And then if this card in its opponent or in its owner's control, like Speller Trap Zone, is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, you can add a Harpy's Feather Duster from your deck or your graveyard. So you can search your Harpy Feather Duster and make it get back to your hand from the graveyard, so that's neat. Now next is your really fun counter trap. This is FLundereeze and the Scary Sea. It says if your opponent would special summon a monster or monsters while you control a face-up summoned monster, Impin at this point, almost always, and no special summon monsters, almost always. Your opponent cannot special summon monsters for the rest of the turn, but they can conduct 3 normal summoner sets this turn, not just 1. Also negate the summon if you do add that monster back to their hand. So you bounce back the monster you negated, the summon you negated, and then force them to normal summon 3 times. So that is pretty rough on the opponent, because who's gonna get like value off of 3 normal summons, especially considering when you can Harpy's Feather Storm them and make it so they don't get any effects off of those summons. The extra deck doesn't really matter at this point. I mean, you could make an extra deck to matter. I just really left the extra deck in here just in case if I wanted to run like Pot of Extravagance or Pot of Prosperities, you know, because you could run those. I just feel like running Wing Requital and then Pot of Dualities are the better choice here, because it's 2 different draw cards that you can run into to just dig deeper. And the side deck, it can basically be whatever you want for the format. I mean, you can run Wind Barrier Statue, so there is that. You can search out like DD Crow, which is neat. It's just really up to how you want to play the deck. And if you're interested in finding out how the deck plays, I will put in the info card in the top right hand side a video of me playing FLundereeze, because it's a fun deck. I enjoy it. It reminds me of True Dracos, but on crack, and I love True Dracos. But if you like this video, please drop a like, subscribe, ring that notification bell so you'll be notified of when I do upload. Also, if you have any other like deck ideas or suggestions to put in the deck, you know, any of that sort of ordeal, please leave it down in the comments down below. But as always, guys, keep up the shenanigans. I'll see you in the next video.
Look at this graph.